We are live. It happened. It worked. Absolutely amazing. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to A Speech a Week with me, Pippa, your host throughout this Shakespeare YouTube journey. Anyway, we are going to get started on Helena today, and I'm really excited. This is a lovely bit of the play. Well, kind of awful bit of the play, let's be honest. Helena's not having the best time of it at all. So, as usual, we're going to work through this together. I'm going to read out the section that we're working through today, and then what I'm going to do is work through it and break it down and cut it up and explain it, share my thoughts and my opinions about it, and then I'll read it again in a way that is slightly different, just because why not? Because we can do that. We are on live today, like we used to back in the day. So feel free to join in. I will be able to talk with you directly. What I'm thinking is I might do. What I'm thinking is I might do. Maybe like every other week live like this, and every other week recorded in one take, like what I did the last few weeks. Just because YouTube is favoring that, and I need to do that more to push these things out there. You know what I mean? So welcome. If it is your first time, I am Pippa. I'm a professional actor based in the UK, and I love Shakespeare. I've got I've got a thing about it. And I think it's got a thing about me as well. We just get on really well. So we're going to have some fun with this one today. As always, whenever I read it and lift it off the page for you, I'm not here to impress you with my acting. This is for, a workshop purpose. I'm not here hoping you'll cast me in something. I am purely here to lift it off the page for you, give it a bit of texture so that it's not, you reading it in your room. Oh, spite, oh, hell, I see you are all are bent. So we're not doing that sort of thing. Shakespeare was supposed to be said out loud, not read on your sofa in the corner of the room. So do make sure whenever you're approaching Shakespeare, I'm assuming most of you that watch this are actors, get it up on its feet, and from the beginning, get it up on its feet. Don't think I need to just have a little read of it a few times before I lift it off the page. No, it was written to be read immedately and absorbed and acted immediately. So honor that, do it, and trust me, you'll find it way easier when you as you practice that more and as you pick it up. So let's have a little read of it then. This is Act 3, Scene 2, if you haven't seen already. We're going from line 145. Helena, O spite, O hell, I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. And what's just happened, essentially, there's lots of lovely characters in this play, but let's just talk about Helena's situation at the moment. She has, since the beginning of the play, been in love with a chap called Demetrius. And at this moment in time, one of her old best friends, Hermia, Lysander and Demetrius, Hermia and Lysander are meant to be like an item. They're meant to be betrothed. They're going to elope together. They've all ended up in the woods. We'll go into more reasons why they're in the woods. And as far as Helena's concerned, both of the lads love Hermia. So she's a little bit like, bummer. No one loves me. And then all of a sudden, both of the boys are like in love with her. And so they've been pursuing her and being like, we love you. You're beautiful. Don't leave us. Why are you doubting us? Why don't you believe us? Kind of thing. And she's like, because this whole time you have been in love with Hermia. But of course, we know as the audience that there's some magical, mystical going-ons in the forest that have, of course, kerfuffled, kablummeled, interfered, shall we say, with Lysander and Demetrius's mind and their eye. They have been tampered with by a little fairy named Puck. Naughty, naughty. So, just to quickly iterate what's just been said to Helena, whenever you're doing any kind of text or taking on a monologue, you have got to know what has just been said to your character. It's the most important thing, I would think. I don't even care if you don't know your own lines. Know what line has just been said to you, okay? Hi, Rodney. Welcome. So glad to have you. Act 3, Scene 2, Midsummer Night's Dream, Helena, line 145 if you missed it. I'm fully aware I didn't put it on my newsletter this week, so I'm just iterating it a lot for everyone who needs to hear. So, Demetrius has just said, oh, Helen, goddess, nymph, perfect, divine. To what, my love, shall I compare thine eyne? Crystal is muddy. Oh, how ripe in show thy lips, those kissing cherries tempting grow. That pure congealed white, high Taurus snow, fanned with the eastern wind, turns to a crow when thou holdest up thy hand. Oh, let me kiss this princess of pure white, this seal of bliss. So that's what Demetrius has just said. It's very dramatic, isn't it? Very romantic, very heightened. And Helena's just like, oh, spite. I'll read it for you for you now. Oh, spite. Oh, hell. I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me, as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were men, as you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. To vow and swear and superpraise my parts when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You both are rivals and love Hermia, and now both rivals to mock Helena. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin and extort a poor soul's patience, all to make you sport. And that is all we're going to do today. But we are going to move on to the rest of it afterwards. Well. Here we have it. What do we think, first of all? This is always my first go-to when I pick up a text, especially if it's Shakespeare. What is it that comes out at you the most? What leaps off the page and makes you go, oh, I love that bit. I don't get it, but I like the way she said this or that rhyming couplet or whatever. Like, is there anything that really stood out for you? Comment in the chat, or if you're not watching live, comment in the comments below. I'd love to know. I like the bit where I like oh spite, oh hell, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. If you know me and you're familiar with this channel, you'll probably know why. It's got two of my favorite Shakespeare things in there. But I love the bit where she says, you both are rivals and love Hermia, and now both rivals to mock Helena. The repetition there and the slight change of the sentence is just nice. I really like it. And I do really enjoy the line, a trim exploit. A trim exploit. It's just really nice to say. It's a good old bit. And another bit that I stood out, that I had my actor hat on, my actor's brain was ticking over as I said it. A manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes. That is direction from Shakespeare, I would say, to be at a point where you are getting tearfully. I was about to say sniffly, but it came out tearfully. Tearful and sniffly, to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. You're making me upset, guys. Can you back off? I think it's a really nice, indirect, but also very direct direction from Shakespeare as to what Helena is feeling in this moment. So always keep an eye out for those sorts of things. It's really, really important, I think. And Rodney says the opening gets one direct attention. Yes, 100%. It's short, sharp, and snappy, isn't it? One's direct attention. Yeah, absolutely. And, well, how does it do that? Because of these two amazing things that Shakespeare does all the time, which I love. He's given us an O and an exclamation mark. If you know me, which most of you do, an O and an explanation, an O and an explanation mark from Shakespeare is an absolute gift. And it's another, I would say this is an indirect direction actually from Shakespeare. O's are passionate. They're a passionate sound, whether it's passionate through anger or hatred or love and joy. O is a very useful vowel sound that Shakespeare gives us to express our character's emotion in that moment, followed by an exclamation mark. It's a gift. It's a real clear indication that the energy of the scene and the situation for your character is up there, okay? So whether that's like Romeo, and I've talked about this before, but I'm confident that's why Romeo's name is Romeo. There's lots of lovely O sounds in there. It's a romantic name. The O sound is very prominent in Shakespeare. And like I said, an opportunity for you to realize that your character's situations are up there and heightened and passionate. So absolutely. So that's one way for sure he gets the audience's attention here, I think. And yeah, it's really short. It's not, oh, spite, I see you all are bent to set against me, exclamation mark. It's, oh, spite, exclamation mark. Oh, hell, exclamation mark. And those words as well are pretty spite. Spite is a very spitty word. I always say that if it's a spitty word, spit it out. I think Shakespeare's given it to you for that reason. Rodney also says, it is much like a hold my beer and watch this opening. Yeah, I like that. Oh my gosh, when I do Helena, I'm definitely gonna, might have like some sort of bottle with me and come on. Hold this. Oh, Spider Well. I think it's brilliant. It is, absolutely. It's a very much, after all this romantic language from Demetrius, again, he's not just said one line to woo her. He's going to town and describing Taurus's snow and the eastern winds and the cherry parting kissed lips and all of this sort of stuff. Seals of bliss, princess of pure white. He's laying it on thick. And it's genuine to Demetrius in this moment. He isn't mocking her. He has had a spell cast on him, and he really does believe he loves her at this moment in time. Did you hear that? Gosh, there's loads of screaming. That contrasted with the oh spite, oh hell. It's just a lovely contrast. So that's how it opens then, and that's a nice short, sharp, get attention contrast to what Demetrius is saying at this point. Let's carry on and break it down. Oh, I didn't talk about oh hell, actually. Hell, remember, back in Shakespeare's time, was something a lot more feared than it is maybe today. I know obviously there's probably lots of people that watch this, different religions and backgrounds and everything. But as an atheist, hell doesn't really scare me very much. But back in those days, that sort of thing, religious belief and fear of God and Satan and the devil and monsters, was 1,000 times scarier than I think maybe we believe it to be today. If you are an atheist or someone that doesn't really relate to that sort of thing or feel anything, towards religion, for example. And so when the fact that Helena is saying, oh, hell, it carries a lot more weight than it maybe does for us today. And so whenever we look back and do something like Shakespeare, we don't need to necessarily think of, I go on about it all the time, the whole, well, women were, had to stay in their place and all of that. That's not what I talk about when I talk about women in Shakespeare's time at all, or people in Shakespeare's time at all. But we need to remember that there's certain imagery and certain language and words that would have had a different context back then to what they do today. For example, hell. Honor is another one that's used in Shakespeare quite often. The drilling started again. I'm going to shut my door. Hang on a second. Marvellous. I've got to do some voice work later. And I told my agent I was going to record this stuff. And then naturally, as I'm typing the email, I hear a and dogs barking and now children screaming as well. Hilarious. So, honor's another one. We have to remember that honor, when I say honor, oh, I'll honor that for you. I'll honor that appointment for you, or that, that acting coaching session with you. We'll honor that still. That's fine if you've had to cancel. That's a very different meaning to honor back in Shakespeare's day. Honor was everything. And so when it's said in Shakespeare's plays or a monologue or by your character or someone else's character, and they're discussing, have you no honor? Like, that's a big deal. That carries a lot more weight and a lot more gravitas than maybe how we'd use it today. So when we're looking at classical writing, I'd say that's one of the most important things that we need to remember, that for our character, although we're depicting them in modern clothes and all of this sort of stuff, in a modern scene and as an Essex girl maybe or something, we have to remember that actually that language still carries the absolute sheer heaviness that it did back then. And I think that's where quite often people go wrong with Shakespeare. They just try and contemporize it so much, we skim over what should not be skimmed over, okay? So just bear that in mind moving forward. So when she says, oh, spite, oh, hell, like, it's the worst, okay? We need to remember that. I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. Nice little rhyme there. In fact, it's all in couplets, isn't it? I saw, extort, sport, pretty much, apart from the end there. So what's she saying there? Let's break this down and I was about to say chop it up. Do you know what? I've had a really long old week in this heat. I don't know how's the weather been where you are, Rodney? It's been like record-breaking highs in the UK. Yesterday was just a write-off, pretty much. So I'm struggling to articulate today. Let's do it. Have a swig of water. I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. So what does that mean? I see you all are bent. I think there's quite a good phrase. If someone's hell-bent on something, they are like relentlessly pursuing that, right? If you're bent on something, let's look up on my dictionary. You're on my laptop today, so I'll have to do it on my phone. Always look things up in the dictionary, even if you know what bent means. We all know what bent is. If you bend something, it's bent. But in context of this, it clearly means something different. So it says here, sharply curved or having an angle, determined to do or have, and a natural talent or inclination. So here we are. I see you all are determined to set against me for your merriment. To set something. Whenever I see the word set in Shakespeare, I always think of setting candles. I don't know why. But if something is set, it is rooted, it is firmed, it is firmed. Good Lord. It is firm, it is set, it is rigid. I see you all are determined to set against. If you set against something, maybe lean against something, go against something, right? Look up these words. I'm not going to do them all for you today. To set against me for your merriment. Set against me, go against me for your fun. What is if something's merry? Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas. For a joke. Awful, isn't it? And that's what she's saying there. I see that you're all absolutely determined to go against me, to ridicule me for fun. Okay? That's a very loose translation. And I would urge you to go into even more detail with translations. I would recommend that you try and stick to the syllable count of the word you're replacing. For example, I said, I see you all are determined. That doesn't quite work because it's bent. I would maybe say, I see you all are sure, because it's got one syllable, just to practice figuring out how I would say that phrase in maybe more of my language, and then I can apply that to the Shakespeare language. You know what I mean? I see you all are sure to hate against me for your merriment. That's three words. So maybe let's say for your celebration, for your fun times, maybe. Can't think of a 3-syllable word to replace merriment, but that works for me. I understand merriment. So maybe I would say, I see you all are sure to hate against me for your merriment. Yeah? Interesting, right? And then, it's got so hot already now, I've shut that door. Rodney says, perfectly normal weather here. It rains often. This is our rainy season when it happens, so we're very grateful. Great vegetable gardens for the effort, labour. Yay! Oh, you'll have to send me a picture of all your produce in your garden. Me and Rodney go way back, so yeah. I'm glad to hear. It's been absolutely corking. I'm going to open that window now again, because I can already feel myself starting to sweat. I can hear the drilling has stopped. So we just spent a really good chunk of time, didn't we, on just 2 lines of text. We're going to move through it a lot quicker now, but this is the level of detail you have to put into your classical language because it is classical language. And the more you do that, the more you'll find as you pick up something or get given something for an audition, you can just figure it out really quickly and don't need to put as much time in, although I still recommend you do. You'll find that there are lots of connections and lots of similar imagery used in Shakespeare that will help you understand it much, much quicker as you go. So moving on, let's keep going. Let's get a bit faster with this. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Brilliant. If you were civil, if someone is civil, if someone's got civil behavior, if they behave with civility, they are behaving well, right? If someone is civil with you, there's a mutual respect. Again, look up these words. I'm not going to do it all for you today. Sometimes I do, but I do want to make sure that we aren't too long here today. Look it up. What does civil mean? And what does it mean to you? Civil. It's quite an interesting word because it's got the lovely v in there. Civil, civil, civil. And a dark L, civil. But the lovely hiss at the beginning. So interesting. We can play with that. And knew courtesy. So if you were respectful and knew courtesy, if you pay someone courtesy, again, it's respect, but it's still very different to civil. So although it's kind of, as I'm describing it now, I'm making them sound really similar, they are two very different things. In fact, we will look up these because I just want to prove the point of what I'm making here. If we Google civil, by definition, it says relating to ordinary citizens and their concerns as distinct from military or ecclesiastical matters, courteous and polite. So it does have courteous there, but interesting. As an actor, we have a duty to make sure both of those things are different, okay? Polite, courteous, well-mannered, gallant almost. That's more interesting for me. Civil, because like I was saying, a mutual respect, that could be one thing. If someone is gallant, well, that's like honor is way up there. It's a little bit more interesting, right? So, okay, let's also now look up courtesy. And new courtesy, isn't it? Yes, and new courtesy. So a curtsy, interesting, didn't actually clock that. The showing of politeness in one's attitude and behavior towards others. So do you see how by definition they're not the same thing? In terms of sharing some similar words with us in the dictionary, there are similar words there. It's a very similar word, but being civil and courtesy is literally to curtsy. That's where the word seems to come from or have a relation to, right? So I'm just having a little look at the other origin. Yeah, from Middle English, from Old French, courtesy, curtsy. I think it's got squished over time, right? So if you actually humbly bow down and respect someone and curtsy, I mean, that's a massive sign of respect, especially back in those days. And it's a physical gesture. Being civil with someone else, I would say, is more of a vocal and physically thing, physically demeaning, not demeaning, a physical thing as well, but also a vocal thing. So maybe we can separate those two things and make them both so different by saying, if you were civil, if you were talking to me with, respect and knew courtesy and knew who she was. Remember, she is thought as fair as Hermia throughout all of Athens, maybe, and the hierarchy between men and women of the time, you're supposed to be wooing me, loving me, extra kind to me, perhaps. We've got to figure out what we want to say on each bit. Rodney says, your live lookups are the best lookups. I know, I wish I could do it for all of them. We would literally probably be here for 3 hours every week, which, I would love to be. But this is quite a short chunk, I guess, so we can do that. But always look these words up and then in the dictionary, say them out loud. See which words really resonate with you that can slot in there and help you fill it out a little bit more, make it mean more to you and make it contemporary for you and your character, despite the language being so old. So, if you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Thus much. Love that. We've got two lovely sounds. Thus much injury. And we've got another in injury, but with the J, it makes a your jury. Pretty much there as well. So Shakespeare gives us all these amazing words with beautiful sounds in it to help us tell the story. Thus much injury. I would be quite up for plucking those two words out in particular, along with injury there. It is very noisy outside, yeah? Very sorry about this. Goodness me. It was dripping everywhere. I do love these lives. I do love it when it's live. Goodness me. So, if you were kind, if you were civil, if you were respect, let's just say that. If you were respect and knew gratitude, you would not do me this much injury. You would not hurt me this much. So she's being really honest here. Rodney says, bring dramatic contrast to the opening. Oh, hell. She is sort of saying, you want a decent response from me, then act decently towards me. Definitely. And I think she's just expressing her disappointment. Do you know what I mean? Her frustration as well. Because, you know, she is, I mean, Hermia and her are best pals, and Hermia's daddy is kind of a big deal. I've totally forgotten where it's set now. I was about to say Verona. I feel like all of Shakespeare's plays are set in Verona. Where is this one? Athens. There we go. Yeah, throughout Athens, I thought, as fair as she. Brilliant. They're quite... These aren't girls that have been, you know, struggling to eat and live for a long time. These girls have been able to practice warbling together and gossiping in the woods and having a nice old time of it and having prospects of young men potentially to marry. So this is probably, even though Demetrius is, you know, according to her monologue earlier on in the play, which we have done on the speech a week before, has said he loves her and then decided against that. She's gone through some tricky times before, but I really don't think Helena's gone through that much hate and that much scorn from anyone before. So I do think this is much more interesting if we play it that she's never experienced someone mocking her to this level. And I will be honest as well, because I've been working on Helena. I'm understudying for a thing at the moment, a play of Midsummer Night's Dream. And I've been working on it, and I've been trying to figure out, because often we have this, again, preconceived idea that's been fed to us from whoever, that Helena's just a really soppy, always sad character. But actually what I discovered is in that beginning section where she's with Hermia and Lysander, before her famous monologue, how happy some or other some can be, I think she genuinely is exceptionally happy for Hermia and Lysander. And I think that's the key. Otherwise, she is just this mopey character, and we don't feel for the plummet of, not even the plummet, but the abuse she gets, and how you know, outcast she is from her friendship circle and the person that she loves. And so I think that's really important. A little bit of gold dust from me to you there, but I think it's really, you know, she really does love Hermia. She really is, as we'll come on to over the coming weeks, she is one of this confederacy. She really can't quite believe that her best friend is against her in this. So, you know, I think she desperately wants love and wants to be loved, but I think she has experienced that in her relationship with Hermia, and I think she really is happy for Lysander and Hermia. She just also really wishes that was her at the same time. And I can absolutely relate to that. I don't think it's, again, as black and white as we sometimes just thrust on some of the female characters in Shakespeare. And I do think it is a gender thing. We talk about how complex Richard III is and Hamlet is and all of these, Malvolio. And yet here we are just tarnishing the likes of Helena. And I'll bring up another one that I absolutely adore, Phoebe, and As You Like It. We just tar them with this general wash of black and white judgment. it's not as you know, straight as that, in my opinion. What else have you put there, Rodney? In Greece, based on ancient history, Helena is not a name to diss. Right? Exactly. That's a really good point, actually. And Shakespeare does this quite often. He'll base names on either Greek characters or gods or whatnot, or use create clever names to help us understand more about that character. Iago, I feel like, has got some sort of relevance, but I can't remember what that. Doesn't it mean? I can't remember. Have a little look up, see. What's the other one that I usually talk about? From Two Gents. Well, there's Juliet, isn't there? Like I was saying, Juliet is a very pure name, lovely. Romeo, the sounds in that name tell us that he is more of a romantic character than maybe Hamlet. Doesn't sound as romantic as Romeo, does it? That's a romantic name because it's got romance in there. So really, really, really interesting and very good point. Always look them up. And yeah, Helen is actually, isn't it the face that sailed 1,000 ships or something like that? She's important in terms of Greek mythology. So, you know, maybe she is the prettier of the two. Maybe she is maybe she's been courted by loads of other boys, but actually Demetrius is the only one that she loves. You know, there's so much backstory that we could add into this and detail we can put in. Moving on with the text then. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me this much injury. Lovely rhythm to ride there. And then we've got a full stop. So we've got those 2 exclamation marks, and then we've got this full stop here. Can you not hate me, as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? Question mark. We got a question. As always, remember that questions are not rhetorical. Even though we know she's about to carry on and she's got more lines to say, she's asking the boys this. She's asking this. Can you not hate me? Can you not just hate me like I know you do, and also join in forces to mock me as well? And it's not even join in forces, it's join in souls. Again, coming back to the hell stuff I was talking about earlier. Your soul is what lived on. Your soul is who you are, and that's the most important part of you. Anything could happen to your mortal body, but your soul, that's like the root of who you are, right? The heart, the real heart of who you are. And she's saying that their souls are joining in determination, in a bent way, to mock her, to hurt her, to upset her, to hate her. And I think I know this is all very funny and everything, but the best comedy, like look at Amy Poehler. I think she is just one of my favorite people. Her characters in shows like Parks and Recreation, and I heard her do an interview actually chatting about that. She'd be a perfect Helena, I think. She's really interested in the vulnerable side of people and how that can be funny but also heartbreaking. And this is something that really, really interests me as an actor and as a human being. This idea of truth and fully rounded characters, so much that we see how vulnerable they are, but we actually find that funny, or we feel that pain. Like there's like a very fine line between laughing at a character because it's funny, but also laughing because it's so sad and awkward, And I think this is what we need at this point. Helena is, kind of the main part, one of the most famous parts in this play. And I think we've really got to go on that journey with her. So I think she really is asking this. Do you have to do that as well? Can't you just hate me and leave it there and not do all of this other stuff that you're doing? Tell me that you want to kiss my skin when I love you. I've told you that I love you 1,000 times, and now here you are telling me you love me too. I don't believe you. You're mocking me. And again, I think that says so much about her state of mind and her self-belief. She's a young woman. She doesn't believe him. She could just be like, oh my God, Demetrius, yay, finally, let's do it. bye, Lysander, stop following me, Lysander. But she doesn't. She thinks they're both against her. So, you know, again, we could play that as a paranoid, annoying, like, young woman, which is what I've seen loads. I think even the National did that fairly recently. Or well, that was the decision for that production or whatnot. Or I think we can make it a lot more real and honest. And God, when you're a young woman and the person you fancy doesn't fancy you back and actively fancies your best friend, sure, we can all relate to that a little bit. Iago, one fine for it. Supplanters, someone or something taking the place of another as through force, scheming, strategy, or the like. Hello, thank you, Rodney, my little dictionary today. Right? So Shakespeare gives us clues about your character in their names as well. Never overlook that. That is really important, especially for Iago. He is always scheming and taking the place of another. Shapeshifter, Proteus, that's the one I was thinking of, Proteus as well, who was believed to forerunner for Iago. Interesting, no? Let's move along with the script. But can you not hate me as I know you do? But you must join in souls to mock me too. Must mock. We've got two lovely mms there. And then Helena goes on to say, if you were men, as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. Isn't that lovely? And it's all in couplets as well. Why is that? Interesting. To vow and swear and super praise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. It's really sad. If you were men, as men you are in show, and often people do like a kind of, I've seen it quite a lot where they're like, oh, if you were actually a man, like you look like a man in show, I think that's only really useful and good to do if Demetrius and or Lysander are actually quite like trying to play the buff kind of hero, like I'm trying to be a man all the time, perhaps. I don't know. I think she just means, again, men in show from what I've seen of you, maybe. I don't know, you can play with that. I think she just means because you look like men. You both have... you are men. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I think she doesn't mean to get sarky there, maybe. Depends on what Demetrius and Lysander are doing. This is why it's really important to be aware of what's just been said to you and how you think it's just been said to you, unless, of course, you're actually acting with someone. You need to take on board how they're doing it, because it's going to completely impact how you say things back to them, right? I saw the text move, but I didn't. There we go. Rodney says she throws down that he is toying with her and basically says, prove me otherwise. 100%. And that's it. She's not even... She's just sure. She's decided that they hate her and they're mocking her. Like I said, that says a lot about someone's character. Why isn't she just willingly believing that actually they've changed their mind and she's the best? Why isn't she doing that? And I think more than she's saying, prove me otherwise, I think she's just saying, don't abuse someone like this. I think she does say you would not use a gentle lady so. I'm sure you hate me with your hearts. To vow and swear and super praise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You wouldn't be doing this if you were men, if you were a normal, nice human being, you know? She's not even questioning it and saying, prove it. She is saying, you shouldn't be doing this. It's really cruel. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? Such a great line, isn't it? So good. If you were men, as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. So we've got men, gentle ladies. There's a nice contrast there as well. Shakespeare's given us the oppositions of things. to vow and swear and super praise my parts. So we've got commas there as well. Always pay attention to this. To vow and swear and super praise my parts when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. Honor the punctuation. I talk about this all the time. It's really, 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 really important for Shakespeare. And she's listing it as well. You're vowing, you're swearing, you are super praising my parts. So her body, the way she is and everything. When I know that you hate me, when I am sure, and again, it's not, I am sure that you hate me. Okay. So with your hearts as well, it's not just I'm sure that you hate me. It's I am sure that you hate me with your hearts. Again, like we said earlier about souls, hearts. These are the main things that make us humans, right? There must be so many great ways to play those lines. Absolutely, I do think so. And that's it. Everybody's going to have a different opinion, and I encourage you to find that for sure. It's just really important to remember with Shakespeare, it is very specific. And although there's different ways to play it, again, depending on what the boys are doing at this point, Lysander and Demetrius, what is it that your character is actually saying? If you were men, as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. You would not use a humble woman like this. So, like this, yeah? To vow and swear. And also there's a colon there, a semicolon there. So you would not use a gentle lady like this. Again, I feel like this is a direction that Demetrius and Lysander are going, but we're telling you we love you. So then she has to iterate and clarify, to vow and swear and super praise my parts when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. Do you see what I mean? So even though it's a monologue, she's very much talking to Lysander and Demetrius, probably in particular, because he's the one she loves, to get it through to them that they shouldn't be doing this. It's really hurtful, and I know that you hate me. Please stop doing it. You know, really interesting. Would she say it coldly, matter of fact, or emotionally? I do think there's a lot of emotion here because it does start with "Oh spite, oh hell," and in a moment we are going to get to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes. And I think she's getting more and more worked up, perhaps through the monologue. And maybe "Oh spite and oh hell" is more angry, I would say personally. I see you are all bent, and again, that "I see" is like a realization. I see now. I see you are all bent to really pee me off. And if we actually go back to what Helena says before, you do advance your cunning more and more when truth kills truth. Oh, devilish holy fray. These vows are Hermia's. Will you give her o'er? Weigh oath with oath, and you will nothing weigh. So even there, she's actually saying, but you love Hermia. I don't understand why you're doing this. Here, I think she's realizing and deciding that they are doing this to take the piss out of her and make her feel shitty about herself. Excuse my language, but hey, that's how I talk. Your vows to her and me put into scales will even weigh, and both as light as tails. You're contradicting yourself here, fellas. You can't possibly love us. And then I think, oh spite, oh hell, I see you are all bent to set against me for your merriment. Okay, I get the joke now. That's what I'm thinking, big time. So, and maybe at this point she is, maybe she thinks she's getting through to them. You're vowing this, you're promising this, you're super praising me here. When I know that you hate me, guys, like just back off, yeah? There will be different tactics to explore in this. Yeah, Rodney, anger followed by hurt, sorrow as it progresses, potentially. It will be different every night. It should be different every night, depending on what she's getting and depending on what comes up, you know. Interesting, isn't it? Hi, Krupa's Home Tips. Hello. Welcome. So we'll see. Maybe I'll read it through twice at the end, Rodney, and try it a few different ways. But at the end of the day, it's a play, and the more internalized we get with our sorrow and sadness, we have to remember to share it with the audience and the characters on stage. So there we go. And then we've got another full stop there. When I am sure you hate me with your hearts. Hate me with your hearts. Shakespeare does this to help you as an actor. It helps you learn the lines. Remember that actors would have been thrust this super fast to learn very quickly. Actually, I can't remember if I talked about it to you guys, but just in this play, because I'm doubling as Peter Quince, there's a bit where there's a lovely long bit where Bottom goes off into a spiel in Act 1, Scene 2, line 30 odd. He says, and make and mar the foolish fates. This was lofty, blah, 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 blah. Quince says, Francis Flute, the bellows mender. That's the next line. I think foolish fates and lofty is a clue to Peter Quince, who wouldn't probably have had all of Bottom's lines to hand, whoever's playing Peter Quince. Oh, my line's coming up because it's FF. There's double F sounds there. Does that make sense? It kind of just slapped me in the face the other day when I was learning my lines, and I was like, oh my God, Shakespeare's done this to help us so much. Otherwise, you wouldn't learn these things. Anyway, so again, hate me with your hearts. Then we go into the second, to the section where we've got Hermia and Helena. So there's lots of H's here, and I think it's a clue from Shakespeare to help you learn your lines. When I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You both are rivals and love Hermia, and now both rivals to mock Helena. Double H's. Interesting. So what she's saying there, you both are rivals, because these guys hated each other, because Demetrius was trying to take Hermia from Lysander, right? So they weren't best friends at this point. They were not liking each other very much. So she's saying that you're both rivals and love Hermia. That's what I thought. And now she's saying, and now both rivals to mock Helena. So we've got love Hermia, mock Helena. Lovely contrast. Make sure you hit that. And again, it's really, really clear for the audience what the boys are doing, or what Helena thinks the boys are doing. And yeah, actually, coming back to your comment, Rodney, like, was it hurt, sorrow, coldly, angry? I think at this point, if anything, it's at this point she might be tapping onto the whole if you are real men kind of thing. Because it makes sense to me. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tear-ups in a poor maid's eyes. I think here she's really playing on the whole, oh, it's just classic of men, isn't it? To try their best to make a woman cry. Great. And I think that maybe is a little bit more like a trim exploit. Yeah, oh, fine, yeah. And it's a real manly thing to do, isn't it? To make me cry. Like, does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? That's what I'm thinking. That's my vibe I'm getting from it anyway. So yeah, a trim exploit. I'm not going to look those up. I want you to do it for you. But if something is trim, it's precise. A trimmed beard. Trim. Short. Quick. Trim. Precise, I would say. Exploit. Exploitation. Think about that. We know about exploitation. It's a term thrown around a lot when it comes to fast fashion and things like that. If we exploit a person, it's not a very good thing. We are abusing them. We are taking advantage of. So a neat taking advantage of, a neat abuse, I could potentially say there. A neat abuse, a manly enterprise. And again, an enterprise, a journey, entrepreneurship, an enterprise, a great thing to do, that. Manly enterprise. Something is manly, it's very different to being said, oh, if you are a man, manly. It's a manly enterprise, Be really specific on this. I'm just thinking and letting my brain go to work here because I'm, just doing that. But look up each of those words. I won't go into those much more. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes. It's not just a maid's eyes, it's a poor maid's eyes. She's talking about herself in third person as well. Again, she's already said you would not use a gentle lady so. She doesn't say you would not use me so. A gentle lady. And then here again, a poor maid's eyes. And remember, a maid isn't necessarily a housemaid. It can be a virginal young lady. Have a little look up of that. But maybe, because a maid typically is, like a cleaner or something, there will be that definition in the dictionary, I'm sure, when you look it up. Maybe she is saying that about herself now. I feel like a poor woman, a poor, humble woman. I've gone from being as fair as Hermia in Athens, best friend to the king's daughter or whatever, and now I feel like a maid. I don't know. Have a little look. How do you want to play that? And we've got that lovely enjambment there. It runs straight on. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. So I would run that on a little bit more. We can talk about this another time. With your derision. Definitely going to look up that word. What does derision mean? So you're conjuring up tears in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. Wow, here we go. Contemptuous ridicule or mockery. That's exactly it. That's what she's talking about. This is the derision scene, I think. And just looking up similar words here, we've got disrespect, which we've talked about, the idea of honor, civil, courtesy, respect, disdain, scoffing, jibing, mockery, sneers, scorn, insults, taunting, teasing, chafing, contumely, never heard that word before. Vilification as well. Wow, all of these amazing words from that one word. So that's a heavy word, derision. There's so much packed into that. Rodney, I need to talk to you about opera, Rodney. I need to tell you about the course I did last week. It was amazing. Success of plays, as with operas, says Rodney, relied on additional performances / full houses. Good of Shakespeare to help the actors pull it off. When an actor got sick just before the opening night, potential disaster. And let me tell you, that would have probably happened so much, right? No medicine, no cough sweets, no paracetamol, no the show must go on. Someone's just got hung, drawn and quartered and he was meant to be, the nurse. We've got a problem. But luckily, he was helping us learn the lines. I firmly believe that. I'm not sure if anyone else believes that or there's any proof, but as an actor who's learned a lot of Shakespeare in the past, that's how I learn it. And I've just skipped ahead and found derision again. Helena uses derision, the word, twice in this scene alone. Brilliant. Like I said, it's the derision scene. So a trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. And again, with your derision. I don't think she's necessarily pointing at them, but she's not saying you're abusing me with derision, with your derision. With your ridicule, with your bullying, with your jibing, with your taunts. She is blaming them for being dicks, basically. And then we've got another semicolon. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin and extort a poor soul's patience, all to make you sport. Can anyone think of another monologue by a female in Shakespeare's plays where sport is mentioned? Anyone? Comment below. Or Rodney or Krupa, have a little comment in the side there if you can think of it. Lovely little end to this little excerpt here. None of noble sort. Again, she's going back to nobility, honor, gentlemanlike behavior here. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin. A maid, potentially. Remember back in those days, your maidenhead, maid, there we go again, to be a virgin by marriage was, well, when you were married or sold off to be married as a woman, you'd have to be a virgin. And if people didn't think you were a virgin or you weren't a virgin, like you would have been outcast from society. So, she's kind of highlighting her purity here and using that as a tactic to explain to them, if no one who is noble, who behaves honorably, would so offend a virgin, a pure young woman, and extort a poor soul's patience. I won't look up extort. I'm going to ask you to do that. Extort. Think about it. For me, before I even look it up, I'm thinking like export, so move. And again, if you're moved by something, there's normally an emotional response, and that's what she's saying there. You're moving perhaps a poor soul's patience. And again, we've got poor. Again, she's already said that in this speech. So we've got two uses of that. Extort. I'm thinking like, what is the word I'm looking for? Extort. Where you kind of twist and move something. It's got tort in there, isn't it? Extort. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look it up now. I'm going to look it up with you because it's bothering me. I'll probably see what the origin of that word as well. Gerund or present participle, extorting, obtain by force, threats, or other unfair means. Twist. That's what I was thinking. So interesting, isn't it? I didn't know the definition of extort, but in my mind it meant, you could see what I was doing with my hands that whole time, right? You're twisting, contorting, contortion. I think that's the word I was looking for. You're molding and twisting these things. And imagine having your soul's patience twisted. What a great image Shakespeare gives you to play there. And so Rodney, actually coming back to your question, anger, hurt, sorrow, at this point, she's talking about her purity and how her soul's patience is being extorted. And it's not contorted or twisted. He hasn't used either of those two words. He's put extort, X. It's a really hissy sound, that, right? And it involves X, that kind of glottal hissing sharpness with the T and the short ought. It's not oat, it's ought, the sound he gives us. So do you see how compressed a word he's given us to help us get our feeling across in that moment? None of noble sort would so offend a virgin and extort a poor soul's patience. Beautiful writing. All of that to make you sport. So sport, a game, fun, for fun. No one who is noble would do all of this to a poor virgin for fun. She's putting them in their place. She's almost wagging the finger, I could say. And yeah, just coming back to the origin, Latin ex means out. Latin torcere maybe, to twist. Extort, wrested. Twist, interesting, isn't it? Fascinating. And that's it. That's the monologue. And then Lysander pipes up and says, "You are unkind, Demetrius. Be not so. For you love Hermia, this you know I know." So funny, so funny. And I think what also we need to remember that makes this so funny is that Lysander here thinks that he's being the good person, when in fact he's the one who's always truly loved Hermia. And he's trying to help Helena here, but it's just making it worse. And therein lies the comedy. I don't think the comedy necessarily comes from Helena. It comes from Helena's situation with the other three characters, and Hermia's just awoken, I believe. Oh no. Awakes. Demetrius awakes. So Hermia enters in a few lines' time. And then, it's that relationship that makes it funny. And I think when we've got Helena just trying to be funny for the sake of being funny, it doesn't work. We need to buy into the truth of her, I think, joy at her best friend's love and elopement, but also that comedy and tragedy balance between, her comedy and love is that she loves her best friend and she's in love with Demetrius and she's just happy for them. But the tragic circumstances is she thinks everyone's trying to take the piss out of her. And she is just completely disappointed the whole time. I think we have to have that conflict of she's trying to be happy for her friend, but also is just majorly gutted at her situation and thinks that everyone's being mean to her. Hope that all makes sense. It goes to her very core, right? Yeah, core is a good word for soul, actually. And she's talked about souls a few times in this speech. So look how much, now we've looked through it, can you see how much repetition there is? She mentions souls twice. She mentions being poor twice. She mentions rivals twice. Both twice. Derision twice in the whole scene. And I bet there's, when we come to the next bit, so next week we'll move straight on to Lo, she is one of this confederacy, which is a bit more of a longer chunk. I bet there's, yeah, most ungrateful maid. She uses the word maid again. Spite of me. She uses that word again. Do you see? This is really helpful for us to know. She's kind of spitting out the same kind of words. So let's have a little read of this again. And let's see what else comes of it, shall we? Hope that was all useful and fun. Certainly was for me. Let's do it. So Demetrius has just said, oh, let me kiss this princess of pure white, this seal of bliss. Oh, spite. Oh, hell. I see you are all bent to set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me, as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were men, as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. To vow and swear and superpraise my parts when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You are both rivals and love Hermia, and now both rivals to mock Helena. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise, to conjure up tears in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin and extort a poor soul's patience, all to make you sport. Interesting. I could feel it rising more and more there. And I could feel her, remember with Shakespeare as well, with any text, we're learning as we go, we're figuring this out as we go. I almost felt like she was trying to put them back in the box she knew that they've been in this whole time. You're both rivals because you love Hermia, okay? But here you are now being rivals, mocking me. I feel like there is a real frustration there and confusion there, potentially. Rodney says, 11 lines, 2 lines were forgotten by the actor. These duplicated keywords are probably the lines to throw out. Yeah. That's the thing. And I think, but then part of me also thinks that it's more confusing. Is that what you mean? Like if you forget the line, someone can just go, it's the spite bit, or oh, it's the Hermia or Helena bit, or the hate me with your hearts bit. But I also think that can be quite tricky sometimes. I don't know. Who knows? But there we go. There's one. And that was quite, did you see how animated it was? I'm not going to say that's the right way to do it. But did you see how much muscularity I was using and how it affected my physicality? How angry she is at this point, how confused she is. Sometimes when we're angry, we're really quiet about it and we can feel it rising up, and maybe we can put that in a little bit more with Helena. In fact, let's try it again. But remember, there's no right or wrong way to interpret anger or upset. We just need to be truthful in the moment for our characters if they are feeling that emotion. So let's try it again here. I find it interesting because the first two lines do make me think she is pretty upset and like, oh, this is the worst kind of thing. But let's see what else we can do. Oh, spite. Oh, hell. I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me, as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were men, as you are men in show, as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so, to vow and swear and superpraise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You both are rivals and love Hermia, and now both rivals to mock Helena. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise, to conjure up tears in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin, and extort a poor soul's patience, all to make you sport. And for me, I feel like she's not quite done there, but Lysander pops in. I think it's important to remember, we know it's a monologue, we know where our lines are going to end, but your character in that moment doesn't. I feel like she could do more finger wagging there and keep going, but Lysander pipes up. I think it's all coming to a head at this point. I think what I just did then was a really useful play with the language and absolutely valid. However, they're in the forest. This is love. These are young characters. And I think in Shakespeare's time, there was a lot more passion rising, and it would quickly go from a little word to a fight or a brawl or some sort of eruption of emotion. We are very well trained in today's society to try and play it very cool and keep really minimal and act like we're really not trying very hard and all that sort of thing. I watched Shakespeare in Love the other day, and it's it shows you very clearly and brilliantly well, I think, what life was like. It's slightly romanticized, but it gives you a really clear indication about how passions can rise so fast, and how big and abrupt certain characters could be. Whereas today, I think we lack that diversity sometimes, or at least some of us, because we are in our little bubbles and the world is so large, we don't see the extremes of personalities and human nature as much these days. So Rodney says, for me, the first two lines bring forward an image of her slamming a book down on the table to start. Yeah, definitely. And this is what I mean about a realization as well. That last time I did it, I was like, oh, spite. Oh, I've just got this. And I think there needs to be that penny drop moment at this point. Because like I said, up until here, she's like, why are you like, you're unbalancing the scales here, guys. Like, you told me this is all just, you're telling tales now. I don't get it. Oh, now I get it. Boom. Hold my beer, book on the table. Absolutely. And I will take that, Rodney, and use it. Arif one, Islamic stories. Hi, sister. How are you, sister? From Pakistan, like Don. Hello, welcome to the Shakespeare fan club. Let's leave it there. That went on far longer than I planned for it to, but I've been really enjoying dissecting Helena. I think she's such a great character. And that's it. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my newsletter. I send them once a week, and they're great fun. A little bit of inspiration and insight to my situation. I have got some good, exciting things coming up in the pipeline. I'll keep you updated, Rodney. There's some things I want to say. I'll send you an email as well about this opera experience that I had last week. And I'm just really excited by life in general at the moment, and want to tell you that I'm very grateful for all of you for joining this journey so far. I'm really enjoying a speech a week, and I have the whole time I've done it. And I'll keep you updated whether or not we're going to keep them live like this or the other way. I think we're going to have to do a hybrid of both, because YouTube likes the pre-organized recorded upload as opposed to the live. And I do want to share Shakespeare with as many people as possible in the world. So there we go. But yes, I'll be in touch. Thank you so much for joining in live today, and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Stay safe, keep healthy, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye for now. Oh, there we go.